Guys, welcome to your mini handstand class. We are going to start on our backs today and get warmed up with a little core work. All right, guys, so coming onto your back, just go ahead and bring the bottoms of your feet together, knees out to the side, and gently close the eyes, taking a few moments here to get settled in. Just starting to connect with your breath. And then setting your intention for your practice today, and let that intention to be the mantra, I am brave. I am brave, right? Kicking up into handstand requires a little bit of courage. So go ahead and setting that intention that you are brave before we even move into any work. Take one more full breath in. Side out. And then bringing your knees up to center, we're going to stack the knees over the hips, bringing the lower body into this 90-degree angle. And keep the hands down by your sides. If you've got some low back issues, you can take your hands, your thumb and your forefinger to this kind of diamond shape and take it to your low back. That'll give you a little extra support. So stacking the knees over the hips, we're going to extend the right leg out to a hover. And I want you to think about wrapping the front of the body, right? So really pull the abs in and up. If you need to modify this, bring the left knee in or the right leg up higher. Press your low back into the mat. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right knee in, and we'll straighten the left leg out. Keep your feet active. So you can flex, or what I like to call floints, right? Where you point your feet, but you flex your toes. And we'll hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left knee comes in, right leg comes out. We're going to do the same thing, but add on. So hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick your head and shoulders up. Reach the fingertips forward. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the head and neck. Right knee comes in. Left leg extends. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Head and shoulders up. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the left knee in. Right leg extends. Adding on. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick your head and shoulders up. Reach forward. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This time we're going to extend the arms above the head. I want you to press the palms behind you. Take the shoulders up by your ears. Press away. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the head and shoulders. Left leg extends out. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Head and shoulders up. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms above the head, biceps by your shoulders, fingertips facing the ground as you press through the palms. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. So maybe rocking the knees side to side. All right, guys, so that with the arms extended, that is your handstand, okay? So I want you to hug the knees in towards your chest. Give them a nice big squeeze. And then we're going to take the arms and the legs out, coming into this hollow body shape, pressing through the hands, shoulders up by the ears, legs are active, bellies in and up. This is your handstand. Hold here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. All right, taking a few breaths here. And then hug the knees in and rock up through a seated position out to hands and knees. We're going to take a few rounds of cat-cow. So stacking the shoulders over the wrist, hips over knees. On the inhale, drop your belly down, gaze in, tailbone come up. Exhale, curl through the spine, press the floor away, chin to chest. Inhale, soften the belly, reach the heart forward. And exhale. So take 2 more, inhale. And exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale. By now you should have been picking up that ujjayi breath or that ocean sounding breath. It's really going to help you in your practice or in the handstand. So make sure you start to cultivate that. And we're going to come into spinal balance from here. Extend your right leg back and the left hand forward. So even here, I want you to think about bringing a handstand into this spinal balance, right? So we're going to actively press through the heel. We're reaching through the left fingertips. This right hand, we're pressing the floor away. And again, wrapping the front of the body, right? So I want you to think about lifting through the front of the body as opposed to dumping into the back. And gently release, and we'll switch sides. Extend your left leg back, right hand forward. When you think about palming the mat with this left hand, kind of like you're palming a basketball, right? So we're activating the whole hand. We're not just dumping into the wrist. And then gently release. I want you to press the tops of your feet into the mat and your hands. Lift the knees just a few inches up. Now, if this is too much on the tops of your feet, you can always tuck the toes under. Right, but I want you to think about hugging the legs in, not so much that they actually move and touch, right? But we're engaging the adductors, the muscles going down the inside of your thighs. So in your handstand, I want you to think about everything hugging in and lifting. Actually, in every posture that you do, hold for 3, 2, 1, drop the knees. We're gonna take the knees out mat width apart, big toes together, sink your hips back towards your heels, taking your forehead to the mat. So coming into child's pose, I want you to rock the shoulders kind of side to side. It's really what we're focusing on here. Shoulder flexibility is really important. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So just taking a few breaths here, opening up the shoulders, pressing the palms into the mat, reaching the fingertips forward. And then making your way back up to hands and knees. So we're going to do some wrist stretches here. So I want you to think about, right, obviously your hands are and your wrists are your foundation for the pose. And the more flexibility that you have, right, the more give you will have when you're upside down, right? So if the wrists are super tight and you start to go forward just a little bit, you don't have as much movement, right? You don't have as much time to catch yourself and really dig the fingertips in to kind of bring yourself back to center, because it's going to feel that tension and you're going to automatically come over. So wrist flexibility is really important for that reason, but also it's a lot of strength building, and you want to balance that out with flexibility. So we're just going to shift the shoulders forward and then back. And then taking the tops of your hands to the mat, fingers facing your knees, and we'll rock back. If the elbows bend here, that's okay. And then ball the fist up and release. Ball the fist up and release. Let's do that again. Ball the fist and release. This time we're going to take the palms to the mat, fingers facing the knees, and sending the hips back, creating some dynamic movement here. You can make little circles. Just make sure you go in both directions. Right. Sometimes I like to just kind of walk it out like this. Move forward and to the side. All right, so flexibility is really important, but also wrist strength. And again, for that same reason, when you start to shift forward in your handstand, you need strong hands, strong fingers to dig into the mat and to stop you and kind of pull you back to center, right? So there are hand exercises that you can do. Stress balls are great to squeeze. That's going to build strength. But if you don't have one of those, you can start in that cat-cow position, and you can pop the pads of your hands up and release. Pop up and release. So you can see my shoulders are stacked right over my wrist. This is difficult for a lot of people, and that's okay. You just shift the hips back a little bit. You kind of take some of that pressure off. And then you come all the way up, and then halfway, and then all the way back up, halfway, all the way back up, halfway, and release. Right? So you can also do things like this, right? Little exercises. And again, these are things that you can take with you outside of this class and practice just to build up that strength, but as wide as you can, and then fingers together, right? And again, you'll notice this is only about 15 to 20 minutes class. So we won't do this for a really long time, but you can already start to tell this is starting to build strength in the hands. So this is a good exercise to do. All right, shake the hands out. And we're going to come into downward facing dog, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about the shoulders real quick. So not everyone can do this, where they extend the hands straight up, biceps are in line with ears. So if you can't get the hands all the way up there, that's going to not allow you to find that vertical line upside down. And it's going to kind of like slingshot the legs down, right? Because it doesn't have that freedom to stack, right? So if you're stuck here, then it's just going to bring the upper body down. So really working on shoulder flexibility and getting the biceps by the ears, okay? So we're going to bring the hands down, lift the hips, coming into downward facing dog. And work a little bit of hamstring flexibility. So the more open the hamstrings are, the easier it is to handstand, because you want the feet as close to your hands as you can get it to kick up, or to eventually maybe press. So the further your feet are away from your hands, like this, right? If you were to look at your down dog and extend one leg up and you were to try to kick up, you've got a lot further to go than as if your feet were closer in. So go ahead and walk the feet in, coming into ragdoll. Grab a hold of opposite elbows. Let gravity pull you a little closer to your mat. Especially if you are working on pressing, then you want to make sure that the hamstrings are nice and open. And then release the hands, heel toe your feet together, halfway lift. And then exhale, forward fold. Come all the way up, extended mountain, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. So we're going to move through a little flow to get the body warmed up a little bit more. And again, I want you to think about bringing a handstand into every single pose that we do, okay? So starting at the top of your mat, big toes together, maybe a little space in between the heels. And on an inhale, I want you to reach the hands up, but I want you to take the palms up towards the sky, gaze up in between your thumbs, and then press up through the shoulders. So here's your handstand in this extended mountain. I want you to wrap the front ribs together, right? Think about pulling in through the pit of the belly. Legs are active, but they're not, crazy clenched. They're hugging in towards each other. Press the palms, press, 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 and exhale, forward fold. So we hinge at the hips and release the upper body, release the head. Inhale, halfway lift, reach the chest forward. Exhale, step back into plank, shoulders stacked over the wrist. And then again, that lifting through the front of the body. So in handstands, we protract the shoulders. And that just means we're not dumping into them like this, right? So you want to press the floor away. This is actually a good exercise to strengthen the upper back in preparation for your handstand, so you can squeeze the shoulder blades together and then round through the upper back. Let's do a few more of those. Squeeze the shoulder blades and then press away. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Exhale, shift forward, bend the elbows, lower down, chaturanga. Press into the hands, lift the chest to any amount, and come into cobra or full up dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. We're going to come into pyramid. So heel to heel alignment, and then folding the upper body over the right leg. And then lifting up halfway, put a soft bend in the right knee. Make your way up to standing. And we're going to come into warrior three. So pressing off the back foot, reach the hands forward, lifting through the front of the body. Left leg is nice and active, reaching through the fingertips, right? Bringing that handstand into this warrior three. Soft bend in the right knee. Step the left foot back, hands come down, and then step back into plank. Shift and lower down, chaturanga. Press into the hands, lift the chest, up dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward, drop the back heel, coming into pyramid. Keeping the hips squared, and fold. Thinking about hugging the legs in towards each other. Breath is calm and steady. And then lifting up halfway, soft bend in the left knee. And making your way into warrior three. Press off the back foot. Reach the chest forward. Again, everything through the fingertips, all the way through the right toes. Active hugging in. And then begin to lift the chest. Release the right foot down, hands to heart center. Take a full breath in, side out. All right, so staying in this mountain pose, I want you to think about pulling up through the pit of the belly. It's almost as if when you're upside down, you kind of want to cinch the waist together. Really, we're activating Uddiyana Bandha, which is that energy lock between the pubic bone and your belly button, right? So you want to really focus here on kind of sucking everything in. And I know it sounds weird, but you'll be able to breathe when you're upside down. But if the belly's just out and you're kind of breathing naturally, you feel heavier, right? So the whole point is to get... just like we had to learn to walk on our feet, right? We kind of felt heavy and we were kind of all over the place. But now when we stand here, we're not heavy dumping into our joints, right? So all of the muscles kind of start to work together synergistically, where you feel kind of light and it feels just like a normal position, right? So that's what you want to do when we're upside down. Right, the legs are hugging in, the belly's pulled in and up, and eventually you just get to feeling normal upside down. So we're going to start with doing some kicking up, but I want to talk about hand placement first. Now, typically, you want the wrist crease running parallel to the top of your mat. Some people turn their hands out slightly, so from here to here. Again, personal preference. You'll just kind of have to play around with that. Mine, I think, are a little more forward. Also, different options for hands. Some people pinch their little tent. This has never worked for me. My hands are completely flat. I can still activate my fingertips by digging into the mat this way. So I don't do this. But again, it helps a lot of people, so you'll just want to play around with that and figure out which one feels most comfortable and helps you get upside down. Right, so hand placement is super important. Again, I want you to think about when you're upside down, protracting the shoulders, right? So in yoga, we're always telling you to take the shoulders down away from the ears. When you're upside down, I want you to think about pressing away. Okay, we're gonna pull in through the pit of the belly. So even if you were to just sit back onto your heels, right, pull in through the pit of the belly, extend the arms up, and then press through the shoulders. So typically the gaze will be in between your hands. Right? If you do that a few times too, you'll start to get that feeling. All right, we're gonna start to kick up. But like I said at the beginning of practice, fear is people's biggest hurdle when it comes to learning how to handstand. It takes some courage to get everything kind of stacked up, especially if you do not have a wheel practice or if you've never kicked over into wheel. It can be super terrifying. Now, if you do have a wheel practice, I tell people all the time, my handstand practice was the best thing that could have happened to my back bends, because every time I would fall over, which was a lot, I would just hold the wheel pose, right? Like, I'm already here, I might as well hold it for a little bit. So if you can kick over, that's, I feel like, I don't know, I was going to say the best, but maybe it's not. But falling out is super important. So if you can figure out how to comfortably fall out of handstand, then I feel like that gives you that little extra boost of courage to practice it off of a wall. So your body, I feel like your body, when you get out of your head, like your body automatically knows what to do when you are getting ready to crash or fall. So you really just kind of want to allow your body to do what it does. But essentially, when you kick up, you're just going to twist the shoulders into like a cartwheel. So we'll show you what that looks like. So when you kick up and you're going over, oh gosh, you twist at the shoulders and you take a foot down. So again, you may just want to go to a wide open grassy field and practice your cartwheels. But I don't want you to practice it like a traditional cartwheel, obviously. I want you to take both hands down like this, kick up, and then you twist over, okay? If this is completely new, completely foreign to you, then maybe you do take the hands down and you just hop from side to side, right? Just to kind of get that feeling of, okay, you're putting some weight on your hands, you're not crumbling under the weight of your body, but you're also kind of finding that twist in the shoulders if you were to fall over. Gotta figure out how to get this to stay. So first kick ups that we're gonna do is with one leg extended and the opposite knee pulled in towards the chest. So hopefully when we hug this knee in, it keeps us from going over. All right, so we're gonna take maybe 5 to 7 hops on each side. So again, you can see here how the hamstring flexibility is gonna be really important, right? The closer you can get your hands to your feet, the easier it's going to be to hop up. So if you take your foot maybe a foot behind your hands, right, and you've got the right leg extended up, I want you to think left knee to chest. Press the floor away, left knee to chest. All right, 5 to 7. Press the floor away. Keep the gaze set in between your hands. Hug the left knee in. Right leg is active. Take a few more. All right, what you're really looking for is that, could be like a half a second. It could be even less than that, but it's that that stacked, floating, solid feeling. Even if it's just for a second, you can feel everything stacked and like, okay, this is the feeling that I'm gonna aim for every single time. All right, check in with your hands. You know, if you're completely new, then play around with maybe taking the fingers out just a little bit, nothing crazy. And then maybe try to adjust your hands, see what works better. So we're gonna move into the other side. This may be your more awkward side, maybe your stronger side, that's okay. One side is usually very different than the other. So here we go, about 5 to 7 little hops. Press the earth away. Pull up through the pit of the belly. Okay, all right. So our next hops are going to be tuck jumps. And we're gonna start in down dog and we're gonna take little hops up to the top of the mat. All right, so I want you to gaze forward, and when you jump up, I want you to think heels to booty, all right? Heels to booty and land. Heels to booty and land. Heels to booty and land. A few more. Hop. And release. Hop. And release. And it may look like this, right? That's okay. We all have to start somewhere, right? So even if you feel like a fish out of water, just keep all of those tiny little cues in your mind. Press the earth away, pull up through the belly, shoulders protract, right? Hug the legs in. Just keep doing that. And I'm telling you, muscle memory, and with practice, it doesn't take too long. Now, I wish I had a wall to take you to, but I guess I could use this. If you have something that's not so far away from the earth, like an ottoman or something like this, this helps you maybe come over, get over the fear a little bit of being so far away and having to kick up. So if you've got something like that, you can take one hand or one leg straight up, and then you can play around with taking the foot off. Now, this straight line variation of handstand is the hardest handstand for me, at least, to master. Super challenging to get everything lined up. So how I started, like my first handstand was a stag leg, where the knees are bent and one leg's moving forward and the other leg is back. So what happens is you are bending into the back, but if you have the ability to bend in your back, it's okay. You just need to keep the core strong, and eventually you'll work on tucking the hips so that you can find that straight line. But I found it with a stag leg first. So I'll show you what that stag leg is so that maybe you can practice it later, right? Or you can practice it now. I guess that's the whole point of this, right? So this is stag legs. So you can kind of play around with the balance, right? And so I've got a little bend in my back right now, and what eventually you'll do is just begin to tuck the tailbone up, and eventually you can find that straight line. Ooh, maybe. Ooh, did you see that lift? Cool thing about handstand too is that it never ends. There's always somewhere else to go. So right when you obtain one variation or one thing, that's, you just keep going. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop me a message or a comment on this video, and I will get back to you. All right, guys, see ya.